So welcome back to the live streams channel, Thailand, Warren with Dr. William. And the first thing that I want to say before anything else is I wanted just to say that this is your own personal onion. So anyway, today we're going to begin something that's going to take us much longer than today, if not forever. Talking a little bit about this model or this tool of the onion, the individual or the personality or whatever as an onion. Actually, what is the onion a model for?
Well, it's a model for different levels of the human experience. So we start with the outer layer, which is that personal identity, that presentation into the outside world. So, hello, I'm William, and I'm a psychologist and a musician, and I'm 80 years old, and I live in Thailand, and I give you, my presentation is those things that I utilize as who I am. So that's one layer of what's going on.
One of the foundational primary ideas that we keep talking about in live streams is that at the core of all of this, or underneath all of the other layers of identity that we've created, is the reality that as human beings that we share the specieshood. So like that's kind of at the core. We've got a social presentation, the face that we show the world. And at the core, we're all human beings.
Right. So my social presentation is highly individualistic. Yours is going to be different than mine. And if we had somebody else here, they would be different. So it's a way of differentiating and a way of specifying those peculiarities, maybe, of my particular life so far. And that presentation is shifting and changing as I go through life. You know, when we're teenagers, we present a whole lot different than when we're 30 or 40. So it's a process we're talking about.
Because I remember that, you know, there were so many things that seemed important to us as teenagers. You know, maybe what kind of shoes we're wearing or clothes, or which group of people we're seeing hanging out with, or what music we listen to, or something like that. And it's, for example, for me personally, growing up, getting into my 20s, 30s, 40s, reconnecting with people that I knew in high school, and we find out that, wow, you know, you're not such a bad guy. You know, why did we hate each other when we were 16?
Right.
Because you used to wear these clothes and listen to this music and hang out with those people. But it's absolutely normal, and it's something that your social group demands. Yeah, sure. Like that. That the social presentation that you exhibit as a teenager is an interaction with your, I don't know, your high school culture, or the culture of your peer group, or something like that.
Exactly. And the outside world demands it, and the internal world needs it to start creating a sense of who I am. Getting back to that basic, the questions, who am I and what's going on? So there's particularly in teenagers, we're starting to formulate, we're getting adult bodies, which changes the game totally. And what are we going to do with this? You know, there's the testosterone, there's the ability to maneuver and to go out into the world. And it's like, oh, what's happening with this? I mean, my parents they're old people. They're not, you know, my friends in high school. So I find out who I am. One of the ways, a very popular way, is by rebelling against the old folks. We make them and us. We do that disconnection. And then, of course, in school itself, it's those people and us, which is how I find out who I am as an individual.
So talking more about layers of the onion, and how specific they can be to the individual, or to the family, or to the peer group, the social group, or the region, or whatever. When we reconnect as more mature adults, it seems to me it's kind of like it's a recognition of another layer of that onion. You know, we're from the same hometown. We went to the same school. Obviously, we speak the same language. We might be the same religious affiliation, or I don't know, other things, political party or whatever. And you know, the kind of the dynamic nature throughout your life of like what are the deep and what are the kind of shallow layers of your own personal onion. It seems like it could be very fluid.
Oh yeah, and how it's shifting and changing as you move through life. I mean, we've talked about that around 24 or 25, the brain really solidifying in terms of neural networks and things, and around 30, some social identity starts to solidify. And as we move through life, there's these biological imperatives that are going on, along with the social imperatives.
And at the same time, some of the deep primary layers of that onion maybe don't shift so much, like your genetic inheritance, or your gender identity. Like gender roles are clearly very much dictated kind of by cultural groups or whatever. You know, like if you're, you know, you can be a rugged Scottish man wearing this kilt, whereas you wouldn't do that in another culture.
Right.
But yeah, so maybe, I don't know, maybe partially biologically and or culturally or something. It seems to me, it kind of suggests that, you know, your identification as being male or female is probably a deeper layer of the onion than your social group in high school, or maybe even your religious or identity. I don't know about that. Cultural.
Right. Well, one of another model that fits with this has to do with your identity system. And there are those aspects of ourselves that we use as core identity. And for pretty much everyone, we have our physicality, we have our bodies. You know, this body may get pierced, or, you know, I may get a different haircut, but I am William, embodied William, I guess we could say. So for most of us, that's pretty much a core experience. There can be other aspects of us that are also deep core experiences that maybe aren't embodied. I think about, say spirituality or religion. I can have an experience that so deeply touches me that it alters my personality. I become a whole different person as a result of that. And that then can be a core value. That's something I live and die through. That's what I think of as core values. It's like family. You know, if somebody messes with my wife, if I have to, I will kill them. And I don't think of myself as a killer, but that's a given. I mean, I understand that on a visceral level. I know that part of me will go to any means whatsoever to take care of my wife and family. So that becomes a core value. Then there's the secondary values.
One of the interesting things about that is, it seems to me, is that, say for people who maybe don't maintain that stability of like marital relationship, you know, sometimes that famous line, there's a thin line between love and hate. You know, if somebody who had that kind of relationship with their family, if it were possible for that to undergo some sort of a radical transformation, it would suggest to me that maybe like that layer of the onion, like how deeply rooted it is, how foundational it is, that's also something that it would be hard to budget, but it's easier to change the importance of something like that than whether or not I'm male or female, for example.
Exactly. And I mean, you think about someone that goes to war